I am Tiffany Bateman. I am a cake artist. About 2 years ago, I decided I was going to do my bucket list thing, which was to take a cake decorating class. So I took it at Amarillo College through Cakes and More and just fell in love with doing it. And my husband said, make one birthday cake a month to stay in practice. And as it is, I usually will make 3 or 4 cakes a weekend now. So I do cakes all the time. So this is where I come to relax. And it surprised me that I actually had a creative side to me. I never thought I was artistic. And both my kids are pretty artistic. And I was like, where did that come from? It's the weirdest thing. And then all of a sudden I found out that I was artistic. So it is not from my husband after all, but apparently it's from me. So I love making kids' birthday cakes, and there's a lot of kind of artistry to it. My favorite thing to do is to make little molded figures of things. So I did a birthday cake a while back, or actually it was a 10th anniversary cake for a doctor's office, and I molded all of the little doctors out of fondant so you could eat them. And it actually looked like them, which was pretty amazing. So it was a lot of fun. So today's cake, I'm going to make a birthday cake for a chicken, which sounds like an interesting thing. This chicken is about to celebrate its first birthday, which is kind of a fun idea. And so what we are going to do is to start out by making the body of the chicken. So we start out here. This is the chicken's little barnyard. So this represents the hay that the chicken is going to sit on. And I have made a little round half bowl shaped cake to be the body of the chicken, which is kind of fun. I did a birthday cake a couple weeks ago for a horse, which was great fun, and made a little fondant figure of the horse in his stable. And this particular horse liked Chips Ahoy cookies better than anything else in the world. He doesn't actually like cake. So we made Chips Ahoy cookies all around the horse's little stable, which was great fun. And so the horse apparently got to eat those when all was said and done. Now this is my signature buttercream frosting, which is incredibly delicious. It does not taste like the frosting you get at Walmart because I make it completely from scratch with all butter. So you can have a sample of it later, and it is absolutely delicious. And it tastes very, very fun. It doesn't leave that sticky taste on the top of your mouth. You taste it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the best frosting I've ever had. So I fully believe if you're going to make cake, it should also taste really delicious. So I make all this kind of from scratch. I'm continuously in here making some kind of cake. So what I'm doing here, this is going to kind of resemble the feathers of the chicken, whose name is Chicky Chicky. And Chicky Chicky is going to be turning 1 this weekend. So we are getting his birthday cake ready. So what I'm doing here is just using my little pedal tip. And there is no manual to tell you how to do this. This is just creative fun. I just get in here and have a good time. I'm a nurse at the hospital, and sometimes being a nurse is kind of stressful. So I come home from work and make cake. And everyone knows to leave me alone, because instead of going to yoga, I make cake. And I come in here and just pipe away, and everyone knows when I'm in here to leave me alone, because I am creating. And I absolutely love doing this. This just calms me right down. You should see what it looks like when I'm done. There is sugar everywhere. But for the moment, we are in our early phases, so there is not sugar everywhere. So you see here, this is going to be the body of our chicken. This chicken is Rhode Island red, so I have colored my frosting kind of a reddish brown color. And just kind of doing the little thing to kind of simulate the illusion of feathers. This isn't probably quite as big as the actual chicken, but I have also made a model of the chicken's head, which you can see is right here. And I used a feather mold to make the tail feathers of this chicken. So this is gum paste on the base, and it dries nice and hard. It's all theoretically edible. And then I painted it the color of the chicken here and made these feathers with a little mold. And I have a wide collection of molds. I love all my little molds. They're a lot of fun. I have a mold that looks like a baby, and it looks just like a tiny life-size baby, which is great for baby showers. So I very much enjoy kind of making fun little molded things. You can see here we're making pretty good progress on the body of our chicken now. Might have to refill our bag in a second. And just come along here. And then when this hardens up, it'll be nice and firm. And when you bite into it, it will taste absolutely delicious, though I am told the chicken is going to have a piece of cake as well. So I'm going to make a little cupcake in a minute, and that's going to be what the chicken is actually going to be eating, which I think is going to be a great deal of fun. We're also going to make it look in a second like the chicken is laying an egg, though I have a variety of eggs here, which will be kind of fun. Apparently this actual chicken is an egg-laying chicken and does 1 egg per day. So I think it is the cutest idea that this mom has gone ahead with this idea. And I love it when people plan ahead for their kids' birthdays. I do all sorts of fun things. And sometimes people give me a picture, but I like it best when people say, you have free reign, do whatever you want to, because that kind of gets my artistic juices going. I just love the idea of kind of doing whatever I want to and using bright colors. Another thing I do is I make my own fondant, which I make it with marshmallows and sugar and usually a little bit of flavoring. So if you've ever been to a wedding and eating wedding cake and it tastes all that thick fondant on, mine does not taste like that at all. It kind of tastes like candy. So the kids always like it. So I'm always making all sorts of decorations. I'm also doing a gymnast cake tonight with little gymnasts that I made out of fondant. So when the party's over, if the kids want to eat the little representations of themselves up, they certainly can, which is kind of fun. So, all right, my bag is making little rude noises here. There's always a little bit of air in it. Now, it's funny as the weather starts getting hot, you have to work really fast when you decorate, because since I do all butter with my frosting, it has a tendency to melt just a little bit. And I do my baking from home. There is a law called the Texas Home Bakers Act where you can bake from home as long as you have a food safety card. So it's kind of cool because very imaginative bakers all over the state of Texas get to decorate cakes now from home, completely legal. And it's kind of a fun thing. I belong to a community on Facebook of people who make cakes from home, and so everybody kind of gets to share ideas, which is kind of neat. So we're going to pretend that this chicken has laid an egg. So we're going to put an egg there and an egg there. Let's pretend the chicken is a very prolific chicken. So it's Easter after all, so this chicken has got to get on with business. So we're going to put all of these fun little eggs all around. And it's fun, you can just kind of play with it and do it any way you want to. We're also going to, when a chicken is actually doing its roosting, it kind of gets up a little bit and its tail comes straight up. So what I'm going to do here, this is the tail that I have molded, and this is some stuff called petal dust, and you can kind of dust it on. It's fully edible and it comes in all different colors. And this is kind of the artistic part you can play with. You get in here and just kind of liven it up a little bit, because a chicken's tail does not look exactly one color. So you can see there's kind of some different colors here. And what I do is I get vodka and edible food color and paint. I do not drink the vodka when I'm done. And it evaporates, but it dries real quickly. It kind of makes it fun. So we're going to put this right here, straight down. Come on, be nice. Cake's pretty hard here. So here is the tail of the chicken, kind of sticking up. So the chicken's kind of bending over like this. Now we're going to put the head of the chicken just like this. So here's Chicky Chicky, looking just like that, which is kind of just the funnest thing ever. Now we want to pretend that Chicky Chicky is having a cupcake. So I'm probably going to make a little cut right here. This is Chicky Chicky's birthday cake, although in reality the entire cake is Chicky Chicky's birthday cake. So just like that. And then I'm going to get a little bit of green in my little baggie here. And I like adding on different colors. It kind of makes it fun. And since this is birthday cake, we're even going to put a little tiny candle on for Chicky Chicky because it's her birthday. I think it's a girl chicken. Oh, it has to be because she laid an egg. I like to imagine about the characters that I'm creating here when I make my cakes. So we're going to do a grass tip, which is going to look kind of like grass. And this will be, because chickens like to peck at the grass here. And you can always use your little bits of frosting to kind of fill in any spots that aren't absolutely perfect. That's the nice thing here, just make it fun. Oh, it looks like there's a little bit of green grass on Chicky Chicky now. So there is her little cake that she's eating. They didn't ask for the particular little cake for her to be eating, but it's a little creative touch that I like to throw in. So here is the candle, and they can light it so that Chicky Chicky can be seen blowing out her own birthday candle. Now what I'm going to do is come along here, and we're going to be like this. Grass is all around the edge. This is the hay that she's sitting on. This is coconut pecan frosting, which is always super delicious. And then the rest of this is my green buttercream frosting. And this kind of, you can see how that kind of creates the illusion of grass all the way around there. And then I've actually formed some little letters. Once we have enough space here, we're going to put on letters that spell out Happy Birthday Chicky Chicky, because we don't want Chicky Chicky to feel unloved. So, yeah, and I do very much consider this a form of art. The thing is, it's edible art, so what makes it so special is it's not going to last forever. You know, if you do a painting or a tattoo or something that's like a really piece of art, it's there and it's with you forever. But I think what makes cake so special as an art form is that you put so much effort and time into it. I'll spend 5 to 6 hours on a cake sometimes. It probably took me a couple hours to make the head and the tail, and then baking the cake takes a couple hours, and then the decorating process is going fast because I've kind of got it all together. But usually I'll spend a couple hours per cake. So each cake has 5 to 6 hours of work in it, depending on what I'm doing. And, you know, and I probably don't charge as much as I could considering it's art, but I'm having an awfully good time in here. So it's kind of my little hobby that pays for itself. It pays for new cake toys because I love getting all sorts of fun little tips. Like down here below, I have all my sprinkles. Like that entire bottom section is full of colored sprinkles that I have. So I have all sorts of sprinkles and fun things that I'm always buying for cakes. But you know, half the fun is definitely seeing people's reaction. And the closer I can work with somebody, it is kind of like a piece of commissioned art, like doing a portrait or something, because the closer you can work with somebody and really find out what the kids like what they're excited about, what their favorite thing is. Like I did one for Mr. Jude Robinson that was a rock climbing cake. So I made a little figure of him and kind of did all the rocks and figured out exactly what the climbing things looked like and then studied them throughout the climbing wall. But it's fun to know what somebody really likes because then you're making something that is absolutely personalized to them. So I love it when people contact me far in advance, and I have a calendar that runs into July and August where people order cakes. And the longer time we have to plan, the better job I can do because I can spend more time working on all these little details and getting them all ready. And that, to me, is the fun part, kind of presenting it to somebody who's like, oh my gosh, it's got this, and it's got ballet slippers. Like I had a little girl I did one for that loves ballet and loves jewelry, so I made her a chocolate molded pair of ballet slippers out of pink chocolate and made a jewelry box with little fondant pearls around it, and she was so excited. It was just the neatest thing to see her cake and go, oh my gosh, it's all my favorite stuff, and had her name and everything, and that's just a whole lot of fun. So you can see here we're coming along pretty good with our grass seam. So I'm going to put in the letters, so let me go get those. And these are the molds that we use for making letters. They come out with this really cute little design. So you put your fondant down in them, freeze them a little bit, and then you pop them out, and then you get this really pretty little shaped letter that looks really cute on a birthday cake. So there's all sorts of little tricks here. So we are going to start decorating H. A. We'll make the letters kind of wild and crazy looking. I don't think Chicky will be a stickler. And the little girl will think it's cute. So I always like to keep in mind, who am I making this for, and really make it suit them. So we got happy and birthday. And so they'll be able to look at the cake from all angles. Because I kind of like the cake, not really to have a back or a front, but to be able to look at it from all directions and come around and go, that is so much fun. And then when you tell people they can eat every piece of it, they think that's pretty neat, especially kids. And it's funny whenever I drop off a cake, the little kids always come up and they just want to touch the cake. And their mom's like, don't mess it up. But it's almost like they want to just say, this is mine and I own this cake. So it's their little bit of ownership. But when it's been created just for them, that is their own little piece of art, which is kind of fun. Okay, actually that's going on backwards. Happy birthday. We'll start on the Chicky and then I'll have to make a little bit more grass so we can spell out the whole thing. Chicky also goes by chicken sometimes. But we're going with Chicky because I thought that just sounded like an awful lot more fun. So we've run out of grass here, so I'm going to have to make a little bit more, and then we can finish up doing Happy Birthday Chicky. Oh my gosh, that's the cutest thing ever. I love this cake. Super fun. I can't wait for Chicky to see it. And hopefully it'll feed everybody. The little bowl probably only makes 5 or 6 servings. Living in Texas, I'm a believer that everyone should have plenty to eat, so I always make more than is needed. But then you have leftovers, because what is the point of having a party if you can't have some leftover cake? So that is half the fun. So yeah, I very much enjoy doing this. I am always surrounded by sugar. When I go to Walmart, sometimes I think they wonder why I'm buying 30 bags of powdered sugar at once. But they're like, what are you going to do with that? It's like, it looks like a movie prop. I'm like, it's just sugar, I promise you. But so there's always plenty of sugar around my house, which is funny because my boys don't even particularly like eating sugar, but I think they're jaded by having so much sugar around the house all the time. So I just love doing this. I do a lot of referrals. A lot of times people call me and say, oh, can you make something like this? And really my favorite ones are the really wacky kind of cakes, the really kind of strange things. I mean, I can copy pictures that people give me, and I can do a fine job of that, but I most like getting to do the kind of creative things. And you can make sugar flowers and things like that. You can make letters, but I think I most of all enjoy making people and little figures out of fondant. And I'll show you my little gymnasts that I made in a little bit because it's really fun to kind of have little figures that you mold. And kids love to see a picture of themselves. They go, it's me, it's me. And they just think that is so much fun. And I use like little sugar beads to make the eyes. And usually I'll take a reference picture when I'm doing it, just kind of an art thing, and put it up there and kind of look at it as I go and go, well, that kind of looks like their nose. And you could use like little petal dust to make their little pink cheeks. So it's a great deal of fun. With adults, you want to slim them down a little bit if you're making them out of fondant. Nobody wants to think you've made a fat version of them. So I always try to make them look kind of as flattering as possible. Just like a portrait artist, you want to, if someone's paying you, you want to make it look as good as possible. Well, there's the end of that bag, so we'll have to start over scratch on that. You have to push so hard, it usually breaks your bag after a minute. But we will finish spelling the Chicky Chicky theme. So Chicky starts with a Y, Chicky. And we'll finish up the spelling here. Chicky, we're losing the edge of our CCH. I usually make a spare letter or two just in case something happens to one of them. Chicky. This is fun. Chicky. Chicky. So there we go. So our full message is spelled out. Happy birthday, Chicky Chicky. That is just great fun. Now, one thing I remembered is that Chicky Chicky has little yellow rings around his eyes. So I will show you how I further personalize the actual Chicky Chicky. I love his little birthday cake. So cute. It looks like he's enjoying himself. So this is some of my homemade fondant that I make. And that's the stuff that I make from the marshmallows and the sugar. And it'll stay good for a month or two. So once a month I make a giant sugary mess and make every color in the whole world that might possibly come up. And so because he has a little bit of yellow around his eyes, what I'm going to do is just kind of roll out like a little snake of it to put around the eye. And this will further personalize it so that you can hold it up and go, it looks just like him. Like we already looked at a picture of him, and it's got the little circle thing under the eye and the little comb that's fringed just like that. So we're trying to make it look as much as possible like the real Chicky Chicky. And I think we've done a pretty good job here. So this is a little glue that's like edible glue that I make to stick all these things on. And then we're going to take this little rope, and you don't have to be super precise here. You're just kind of looking for a general impression of what it would look like. And that is just about what his eye looks like. That actually came out great. So we'll come over here to the other side because I want to make sure we get both sides and come as close as possible to his real eye. Because the more details you can get in something like this, the closer you get. So if I'm doing a person and they have a beard that's part gray and part black, I'll take like little tiny strands and roll them and make them so it looks just like that person's hair or beard. And those little details make all the difference. It takes a little more time to do details like this. And sometimes I'll look up and I've been in here 5 or 6 hours and I'm like, what happened? Have I been in here that long? But I think that's what it's like when you're really creating. Like you so enjoy yourself and you have such a good time. You're like, wow, have I been in here all night? Usually, yes, I have. But it makes me so happy that my family never complains. They think I'm having a good time because I am. So there we go. All I need is just a little bit more grass here, and then we can go put Chicky Chicky in the refrigerator to harden up. That looks so fun. I love it. Let me get one more bag here, and we'll finish up doing his little tail. I use a lot of little plastic decorating bags. These are all of my tips that I use here for decorating. So all these different options, and each single one makes a little different shape of frosting, so you can kind of play with all of them and see. I usually have 5 or 6 that I use all the time, but you just kind of play around with different effects that you like. You can use these for making frosting flowers and so forth, but I mostly just like making whatever strikes my fancy. So we will do just a little bit more here, finish up the last little bit of the grass, and then Chicky Chicky will be ready to roll and go to his party. which I hope the little girl is super excited about. I think she will be. I don't think she has any expectation it's going to look quite this good. And that's half the fun, like really making something that surprises people, that it looks so much better than what they had in mind. You know, the mom thought I would just kind of maybe make a picture of a chicken. I do have an edible printer that I can use, so you can print out images of something that look just like something. And like if you have a picture of somebody and they want their picture on the birthday cake, you can print it out on an edible frosting sheet. And that's kind of fun. It ends up kind of an interesting effect. Sometimes you're like, ooh, I didn't really want to look like that looks too realistic. So sometimes we just kind of do impression kind of things, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. You can see here, this is just an unholy mess, but that's half of the fun, getting all sticky and messy. I remember I didn't want to decorate cakes at first because I was afraid of getting messy. I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so messy. And now that I'm into it, getting messy is half the fun. So I have to get them, and you can always wash it off when you're done. I use a lot of paper towels around here. Sometimes I'm like, did I go through a whole roll of paper towels in one night? But I like to be clean as I go. So there we go. So we're going to fill in the last little bit of the grass here. Oh, good gracious. So you can see here we've had a little disaster, which happens all the time. So I can just come along here with my little spatula, kind of fill this in like this. The messes are the fun part because you can come along and go, oh, wow, look what we've got now. So you just kind of fill it in. Hey, would you look in the pantry, Lisa? I think I have some top shelf there, or kind of middle shelf. I think I have some little Easter egg candies. If you can find those, we'll put some of those in here to kind of add a little fun. I use a lot of candies in decorating. I have all sorts of fun things. But you can see here, I can use my little tip here and kind of make that look a little bit like grass here. And so then you can kind of blend it in just a little bit. So you can take what looked like a little bit of a frosting disaster and just smooth it out and make it look just fine. I do wedding cakes too, but wedding cakes, they have to be so perfect. Like you can't have one single thing wrong. And so half the fun of this to me is that it's just a great big frosting mess. And you get in here and kind of go, okay, a little of this, a little of that. Go from there. Perfect. Yeah, and there's some Easter egg candies. So here's what we're going to do to kind of liven up a little bit. Look like Chicky has a real sweet tooth going on. And so I'm always on the lookout for fun candies. So we can come in here, and looks like Chicky has laid all sorts of eggs. All sorts of colors. And in fact, this kind of gives me an idea that now that I'm in here and moving along, I am going to just put little eggs all around the cake to kind of continue our egg theme. Those ones aren't edible, but these will be, so I'll find a little space here. Because you can fill in with all sorts of candy. They have candy pearls that come in all different colors, like red and black and blue. So depending on the cake I'm doing, you can kind of base it on that. I'll just snug that in there. Looks like Chicky has laid quite a number of eggs here. Like that. And there is Chicky's birthday cake. Love it. And I've got the little board here covered with a little tape that looks like grass and flowers, so it looks like he's just in a little natural scene, and the frosting there is his hay. So there, happy birthday, Chicky.